They're here.
Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Monday, August 25th. Who would have thought 2025 would be going so far, so fast, without true disclosure coming in? Wasn't it Eminent, the name of the book? I don't know, but you know what? Let's dive into it. We've got big conversation, along with some interesting things that have been happening with NASA and Skywatcher. Don't believe it, folks. We'll get to the bottom of that malarkey. On that note, let's find out who in the heck we have in the audience. We've got GMC here along with Amiga Rules. Andy W's in there along with Anton Ghost, Dan Larev. Daryl is YouTube. Live long and prosper, my friend. We got Dennis Benke, Drill Guy, Eli McGinnis. Pour one for me, my friend. Eliza Teal's here along with Fantomas Fanto, Firefly. Gene Sticko is in the chat and he's in the back along with a bunch of our friends. Who else is there? We got Geraldine DeRazio, Gray Hair Discoveries, I and Tate, not Taint, close enough. Jared Rosenthal, J Cat Meow is here along with Joey Spades, IC Canehart, and Kelly Brote and those piercing blue eyes. Great to see you, Kelly, as well. Who else we have out there? We've got King Bull, Latcher Genwile, Megan Betts, Mr. Joey B is in the chat. Remember, folks, the chat is where it's at, and the cost, just sign up and subscribe and you can talk. It's simple. Who else we have out there? Mr. Joey B, Ms. Cuss Out, Player One, Prism Films US. We got Roni Deal, Rodney Cox, Rough Reddy, Sam, Shelly Montgomery is here. Good to see you, Shelly. Long time no talk. Shinobi Wan Kenobi Shrooby-Doo is here along with Steve Hines, the Super Unknown. We got Tech Monkey 1, the Chromosome Cowboy. The Vern Dude is here and Warp Drive. And we all made it before we end off the intro for Disclosure Tonight. How about that? I'm getting faster and faster with those names, but not as quickly as the man who looks for the news, tracks people down, and gets them to say what they're unwilling to. On that note, where is it there? Let's welcome in our dear friend Mike. I haven't done an intro for you in a while, Mike, ever since we got it.
I know. It's okay. We get right into the swing of things lately. Haven't done any intros. It's okay.
Well, we got
fun.
your intro and stuff, but yeah, I got to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
What
okay,
a weekend. My God, how was your family vacation? Did we get to play the song Hollywood for you?
No, please don't.
It was Wally World fun. I saw some things going on in some water parks today that were in Pennsylvania. Hopefully that's not the place you were at.
I was in Pennsylvania, actually.
Oh. Not the water park I saw.
No, probably not. Thank God.
You would have looked more like the staff than the patrons.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good point. But yeah, no, I got through it. I survived, thankfully, and back, and we'll see how things go. But yeah, we're going to have an interesting show, I think, tonight.
God damn, it's like, where in the hell do we start? Well, I guess we can go ahead and do this. Where are the videos I want to bring out? Well, Mike, I have to bring this up. This is the second, or I believe, third anniversary of Bijou, the alien.
Oh, God.
Which is a close friend, who was a close friend of our dear friend, Mr. Dr. Stephen Greer. Let's play this clip one more time.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome. What you're about to hear may disturb you. Beloved alien celebrity Bijou, the extraterrestrial, was found dead on the outskirts of Wyoming. Reports from eyewitnesses who had spotted two men making a hasty escape from the lifeless Bijou. Currently, the Space Force is conducting an investigation, and a pivotal piece of evidence has emerged, potentially indicating that this could be a case of homicide. We've obtained a leaked audio recording from a nearby trail camera.
You think you know pain? Remember what you did to me?
Thank you for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Mike, our hearts and tears go out to the family of Bijou the alien.
Oh, I know. I love that clip. It's awesome.
You got to have fun with it. But in a more serious moment, my friend, I actually have to get up where is that? At thirds. Disclosure Tonight logo turned on. We're set. We to start off tonight, nothing like a trip to KFC to talk to the Colonel, except this isn't the KFC, the Colonel, although it looks like it. We've got some interesting news about the age of disclosure, that it's going to be shown to Congress in not one, but two private screenings. That's right, folks. Let me get that out there. Where's that at? Hold on. That's right, folks. The age of disclosure is going to be shown to Congress in not one, but two private screenings as voting begins on the UAP Disclosure Act. Yes, the Senate will be showing the film on September 8th, the date before the hearing in the House of Representatives, if it actually happens. And Representative Andre Carson will be showing it for the House of Representatives the week of September 15th. Well, Mike, let's go ahead and get to the news on this one. It's always fun to get to it, so let's have some fun with it. Got to be serious about not being serious here, but where is that at? Let's get to it. I can't find it. Where did it go? No. Here we go. He does look like Colonel Sanders. Sorry, Danny, but you need the black tie, bow tie.
We're going to be showing a private showing of the Age of Disclosure documentary film. That we've gotten an agreement now from the director and producer of the film that has not been publicly released yet to have a private showing for the members of the United States Senate there in the second week of September, when they will be voting on determining whether to include the 64-page Schumer-Rounds amendment into the National Defense Authorization Act. In the third week, Congressman Burleson will be introducing his copy of the 64-page Senate bill in the House of Representatives, and concurrently, Andre Carson, who is the chairman of the House Subcommittee on Counterintelligence, is going to be doing a private showing on the House side of the Age of Disclosure. This is going to be the week that the House of Representatives is going to be deciding whether or not to pass the Burleson version of the Senate bill and to introduce it and insert it into the National Defense Authorization Act.
Well, Mike, that's something we've been waiting for the absolute longest time, and they're looking to insert it into the House version of the bill, but doesn't that usually come in during reconciliation? That's where there's a difference between what the House has and what the Senate has. But if it gets in from Burleson, what do you think the odds are on that happening?
It doesn't sound too likely to me, but I'll tell you this. It explains why Burleson has been in the public eye lately. We've been talking about, we don't see Tim Burchett anymore.
No.
We have Burleson everywhere. Now we know why. He's going to be sponsoring, trying to get that bill in. That's why he's been out all over the place. Now we got our answer.
Yeah, well, he's been working the wrong audience, my friend, coming out with the two biggest trolls on UFOX to go ahead and have a landmark discussion. It's just like wiping your ass with freaking sandpaper.
It's definitely on the wrong side of the fence if you want to get to a mainstream audience and people who are not trolls or following trolls.
Right.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
It
one of
was
those.
a mistake, and he's not going to get that UAP DA passed. It's going to be third time in a row. You and I know that.
Third time fail. I guess that would be you're out.
Yep.
It's not a ball. That'd be ball 4. Walk. But no.
Mm-hmm. No, it's going to be out. But we've been saying that the entire time. Nothing changed.
Well, if they come out, I'm sure if there is a sidewalk out there, or a crosswalk painted in memorial, they will paint right over it and get rid of it.
Well, I can tell you that when they did a preview of Age of Disclosure for the public at South by Southwest, even the audience that watched it were, no proof, no evidence. It's more he said, she said. More trust me, bro. And they weren't that thrilled with it. I have a feeling it's going to have a similar effect in Congress.
Trust me, bro. Are you bringing up Skywatcher?
Could be. That's a good segue.
Yeah. All you're telling me it currently is because you know what? Rumors are swirling, Mike. Let me get... and I forgot to do the title cards, and we'll deal with that later. That's fine. Let's get the stuff into it. Where are we at? Okay, here we go. Skywatcher, Part 2. In other words, what the hell happened to part one, Mike? Rumors are swirling NDAs as if a sudden exit by James Fowler, the field operations stop cold. Some even whisper about a government snuff out. Let's unpack, Mike, what we know so far, coming to us from Skywatch Signal over on X. Yes, the first came the report of the NDAs. Team members allegedly signed agreements forbidding them from speaking about Skywatcher or its direction. But, Mike, we found out about Skywatcher and their direction. They are funded by VC, and what they discover, it's never going to see the light of day for the public. Because why? They're trying to monetize it and make money off it, right?
Of course they are. You don't put investment in without a return on an investment. So they're expecting to get something out of this, and they're not going to be releasing it for free to the public.
Yeah. You know, if that's true, it would explain the sudden silence around the project having the NDAs. And of course, James Fowler walked, but not only did he leave, he reportedly took all of his specialized equipment that was the dog whistle machine. And it wasn't just like a little dog whistle that you blow into. It was something they had to cart around on a truck, wasn't it?
It was the size of a truck because they have multiple different types of equipment that emit a low frequency sound that's supposed to attract
a VLF signal, kind of like what we use for going ahead and communicating with our nuclear submarines by chance?
Yes. Actually pretty similar to that. Yeah, good point. That's what they're using as a alleged dog whistle. It's supposed to be low sound frequency that gets their attention because it also, at that lower frequency, travels very, very far. Yeah, that's the whole point.
I've heard of UFOs being seen by relatives back in the day. They were up in the UP, the Upper Peninsula, I believe, in Michigan, and that's near a VLF, one of the transmission sites we actually have, and they encountered. At least my one brother, when he was up there with my cousins, encountered a UFO that was buzzing the cabin with lights lighting up the whole thing. And another time my other brother was up there, he encountered multiple UAP when he was on a dam coming over one of the reservoirs they had there. So it's an active spot, especially around VLF. So on that note, they're not just attracted to nuclear, but yes, VLF is something that does attract them.
It does, and what's interesting about VLF also is that it can travel through objects and structures.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike regular RF signals. So, yeah, it has an impact.
It resonates right through the whole earth, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
You know, one of the insiders quipped, Mike, quote, James got a bunch of money and took his ball home. Well, if he got the money he was finally looking for and he didn't have the investors beyond Gary Nolan and one of the founders of SALT, and he really wanted to get where he wanted it to go, it sounds like the defense industry talked and he walked.
Yeah, he doesn't want to sign an NDA. And he's right, because he's a scientist at heart.
Yeah.
They want their discoveries to come out to the public.
Right, and he's a scientist figuring this out, and it just gets into it that if he signed that NDA, that would basically potentially give away the rights. It's not just usually a non-disclosure agreement, it's usually a non-disclosure and a non-competition agreement, and it's good that he didn't sign that because he would have been screwed for all the time he put into this for all the years before even Skywatcher came around.
Right. So he wasn't willing to do that because he's not stupid. So good for him. Yeah. He did the right thing.
It reminds me of the top AI programmers and leads who are at Apple who got poached by our friends over at Facebook with a yearly salary of $400 million, something not even they're getting a fraction to over at Apple, but it just shows you when money talks, talent walks.
Oh, sure they do.
Yeah. Now, although they said, "Oh no, we're done with field operations, and we're going to go into the stage of doing our review of the data, which is going to take a long time," which means we're not going to hear shit about this for a long time. And Mike, they're not going to release any information of it, as per Gary Nolan, until they can do a peer-reviewed papers on it.
Well, that could take years, Thomas.
Oh, you better believe it. It's the same thing that was going on when we had the UAPX, the initial expedition that happened for the movie A Terror in the Sky, right? When that was going on, we were supposed to have the data released. They were going to open it up for everybody, but they also that was involved with Kevin Knuth and Matthew Sudeikis and all these other people. They held back, and they still haven't released all their data.
And
They
they're
say it's
probably
because they haven't
not
gone
going
through
to.
it. But Mike, if you're crowdsourcing,
Right.
and that's where it's at these days, crowdsourcing, opening up something open source. Skywatcher's not about open source. It's about venture funding and return on investment.
Proprietary technology and
Yeah.
information. They don't want to release it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's not the right approach. So they say that they're pro-disclosure, but they're really pro getting paid.
Bingo.
and-
Pro
which is not
investment.
disclosure.
We want to
Yeah.
get something back. You got to wonder what all tied up. You know, David Grush was there talking with all those investors in January a couple of years ago. And after he talked with the head of SALT and a bunch of Wall Street bigwigs, he went silent and hasn't come around. You got to wonder if there's something along those lines in his book these days as well. You never know.
Oh, you're right. Money seems to have a big impact on this movement and
Yeah.
people who are involved directly in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So without Fowler's text, Skywatcher and the world of field operations has stopped. The project's eyes and ears in the field are effectively gone. And when the hardware goes, the data pipeline dries up. And again, Mike, I have to turn this back to look at what happened with UAPX. They had David Mason. And if you saw any of the videos about a tear in the sky, and they showed all that equipment that was up on that roof of that place they rented on the island down in by LA.
Yeah.
All that equipment was owned by one guy, David Mason. A lot of it was his own custom gear that he actually designed and built himself. And when David Mason dried up or left, took his stuff and took his toys and went home, their data pipelines dried up as well. They didn't have anything to go ahead and check stuff. And actually, from what we heard back in the day, David Mason had threatened to take the heads of UAPX to court to get his equipment back because they borrowed it and they wouldn't give it back. Go figure.
Yeah. Like a bad neighbor that borrows things and doesn't want to return it.
Oh.
That's because it was their whole business model and he was going to take it away.
Well, if it's his stuff and they're bringing him in, apparently they didn't cut in these guys at the right level, at the right point to say that, hey, we really value you more than anybody else and we're going to give you something to stay here. It sounds like they missed that opportunity. And it's, you know, you figure they would know how to take care of a tech guy to keep the thing going because that's what it's about. Now, that vacuum of what happened about his technology leaving sparked the widest rumors yet that a 3 or 4 letter agency stepped in. Some claim Skywatcher's work was bought out or suppressed, especially as dog whistle research into a signal-based UAP interaction. But here's the counterpoint. Skywatcher leadership, alongside its advisor, Matthew Pines, has pushed back hard. They say the data collection will continue and that independent third parties are reviewing results. In other words, quote unquote, ignore the gossip. So where does that leave us? On one side, NDAs, Fowler's exit, the halted field work are all consistent with a program in trouble. On the other hand, official statements promising continuity and new research drops. The truth may be a bit messy middle ground. Now, the bottom line is Skywatcher's story isn't over, but it's fractured. Something real happened. NDA's departures, maybe suppression. Whether this was the internal collapse of or external pressure, time will tell. Now, Mike, one of the things you're telling me about is Skywatcher was coming up in the news today on X talking about, oh God, our old dear friend Patrick was out filming a documentary on Skywatcher.
Yes. 12
And
minute on a raw clip he put out.
He had a
there.
raw clip recorded on his cell phone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I got a question. If you are running a documentary and you're going out to look and watch for UFOs to come, why would you just bring with your cell phone? Why wouldn't you invest $200-300 in a Psionics night cam like what Nikki used in the past for when he saw his stuff down in Arizona? It just doesn't make sense. It just reeks of bullshit to me.
Well, yeah, it was him basically narrating, and you couldn't really see very much. He was looking at some lights up in the sky at night. They were out, and I wasn't impressed by it.
No, neither was I. And that's what I'm just
planning.
saying. If you're out there and you're doing it and you have the opportunity to have a good night vision camera that you can bring out and record the stuff, the real good binoculars, something else, they don't cost that much money. But if you're investing into researching this, why wouldn't you have the best equipment? I know we've got some in the back here. He was there before, an expert in this area. Did he leave? Is he still here? Tim, my friend, Anonymous Rex, how are you? Nothing like throwing gasoline on the fire.
No, I'm doing great, bud, and you're absolutely right. There's no point in going out there if you don't have the right tools, right?
Right.
So yeah, and the experience is pretty simple. I mean, your cell phone is your ultimate fallback, I think.
Right. But if you're going out there, you know how you are. You've got suitcase after suitcase over suitcase of different gear that you pack up to go ahead and check this stuff out, looking at stuff over multiple spectrums simultaneously.
Right. And I think it simply falls down to, in those few milliseconds that I do capture something, I need everything turned on, you know, because I need more than one signal, not just visual.
Yeah. Absolutely. I appreciate your insight. Sorry to throw you under the bus on that one, my friend, but it's just one of the areas you're an expert, and I love to be able to call on an expert when you're around.
100%, bud. 100%. Yeah. And it's frustrating to see teams that go out there claiming to be experts and just kind of not delivering. It's a little frustrating.
It can be.
Yeah, I feel it.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but if you're going to be shooting a documentary, right, you would have the right equipment set up to shoot whatever footage that you planned on putting into the documentary, would you not?
100%. And so in my personal experience, I have a bunch of quote unquote interested parties or scientists or experts that are the actual researchers. And yes, they may have cameras, and they're multiple spectrum cameras. But then I have a team that I take out with me that's dedicated to just simply document what that team is doing. So whether it's inside the research vessel or whether it's outside in the grounds, there's cameras everywhere. So we keep our scientists, quote unquote, honest. We show our work. And also we have a much better chance of capturing whatever happens the more sensors we have out there. So, you know, if you see everyone scrambling, you know, captured by the documentary team, then you can guarantee there's going to be something interesting at that time signature. And that's another way to help us, in a sense, kind of collate what we should include in our show or what we should include in our data as interesting. It's because the documentary team's like, well, you guys were working hard between these times and these times, and we captured it at this and this. And so believe it or not, that actually keeps your whole timeline pretty much simpler, having a documentary team. I know that sounds strange, but
no, not at all. You know, if you're doing a documentary, Tim, and you're trying to bring stuff together, you're looking at this from many different angles that's different from just the camera guys and the people operating in the field to make some of the stuff happen, right?
No, exactly. And it's kind of one of those things that they have to be independent of each other is another important element. You know, and the director of photography for the documentary can't get mixed up with the guy that's like trying to run a psionics or trying to set up an array of cameras. Like, dedicate your team to what they're doing and let them just focus on that. Because when something incredible happens, time just kind of dilates. And you have to know your job and not kind of drop the ball.
Absolutely. Speaking of psionics, have you involved anyone like that within your crew so far?
So if we get anything captured with psionics, we send it to psionics to get reviewed first. Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two people that we work with there. And one guy is kind of like our sales guy. And he likes to get our data because he puts it out there for other people to see, be interested in, and uses it in sale. And then there's another guy there that reviews all of our data, and he's like, this could be this could be that. And he'll run it up a flagpole of his guys and give me a feedback as whether it's interesting or not. And so that, with military people and other experts in video, we can get a pretty good idea of things that are worth looking at and what's not.
Absolutely, my friend.
Yeah, so I would assume they're not standing there using just their iPhones, right then?
Well, I mean, honestly, yes. Some of the people that are in the outskirts, people that are just running cable, I'm sure those guys are definitely filming with their iPhones. And so if you see something that's on an iPhone, then it's probably somebody that's a little bit superfluous to important. You know, maybe they're just a driver. Who knows where the data is coming from? But you can guarantee if it's interesting, there were other data points that we're not seeing.
Yeah. One would hope
Which
so.
is the point. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't sound like an iPhone usage for a documentary.
Yeah. But sometimes if you look at the video like we got that was shot off of in Malta in September of 2021, Mike, that was shot on an iPhone 11 Pro Max that was running at 240 frames a second. Granted, it wasn't a high-end optics we weren't looking at IR or anything like that. We're able to capture a UFO going over 14,000 miles per hour just on a standard iPhone, but it's also what's available at the time for the purpose. And when we got the video, that was just a tourist who was there to go ahead and be the producer on Love Island that was going and filming on Malta, not someone who was out there for the explicit reason of, we're going to go capture some UFOs, y'all.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Just to add very quickly, if I might, Mike, sorry to interrupt you there. If you're going out with the intention to try and capture this stuff, quite often you're going to fill your time capturing a lot of things that are mundane. And, you know, it's hard to siphon that out at the time, in the moment. And so a lot of times when crews get excited over data, I'm always kind of like, get it back, review it with your team, and then let's talk about it, because so very often we're able to figure out what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And so it gets, you know, it can be a little frustrating to come up with evidence, right? And so you find that a lot of these teams may just throw anything that they find out there and then leave it to us to decide, right?
Right.
And without an expert opinion, a lot of mundane stuff can look incredible.
Yeah.
And I'll just put that simply.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. Great insight, and I'm glad you're here to be able to talk on this today. It just shows what of an asset you've become to the community. I mean, you're the person who went and took pictures of and was part of the sighting of the Tic Tac that happened at Bainbridge Island years ago with your family, and it's something that changed you and all the people who were there to observe it. And thanks for being here, being a part of this.
My pleasure. Yeah, that was the football that kicked me off. Absolutely. And anyone that's interested in that case, it's never been debunked. You can just search the Bainbridge Island Tic Tac event. And anyone that you know of that's in the field has seen it and are interested in it, and they talk about it, but it's not been really talked about too much publicly. But behind the scenes, it has been.
Oh, 100%, my friend, 100%. We've covered that in the past. It's a video in our classic collection from old shows, that one of the few we still keep around for that main reason, my friend. If we can, we've got a friend of ours in the back to go ahead and give us some additional insight. Patrick Fogarty, what say you, my friend? Thank you for coming around tonight.
Hey, guys. Tim, this is actually kind of a question towards you. What I find is that there's a little bit of disingenuous action by some of these documentarians where they purposely will go with underproduced product, primarily because it's a lot easier to say, hey, look, I found something. And when you look at Skinwalker Ranch, I mean, we were looking at dust on one of them, and they were claiming there's orbs. It's becoming common where we hear the nomenclature, we hear Elon Musk say it, if there's so many cameras out there, why don't we have a clear picture of it? The irony is the passive nature of the real stuff that's getting captured, just as in your event, the event that occurred in Malta, we weren't out looking for these things. And of course, some of the best captured footage as Thomas was saying, was with an iPhone 11 Max. I'm not sure what you recorded yours on, but the reality is it's disingenuous when someone is a filmographer, is into directing these programs, and they're purposely misleading people. I think that it's a way to create shaky footage. There's one instance that sticks out. It was October 2002. There was a man named Dan Bazil who was a weatherman for WTEN in Albany, New York, and he was running for some B film using a Betamax commercial camera at the Albany airport, pointed up at the sky, and he was trying to get a jet flying over. And it was the frame rate, similar to with Malta, how it exposed that this is behind the jet, this is moving ridiculously fast, and this is not something he was supposed to capture. That's Bazil, if you guys want to look it up. He's been extremely tight-lipped about it since then. I've gotten him to talk about it once in 2006, and since then he won't mention it. The FBI got involved with this. This was a guy that wasn't looking for UFOs. This was a guy that was looking for B-roll footage for his evening weather forecast, and that has all but disappeared. They showed up at his house. They accused him of falsifying stuff. They tried to make it out like he was some big UFO guy when he'd never run a story on it, never wanted anything to do with it, and he's moved on with his career. I think that we need to look at those. There's plenty of situations where high-quality film does catch the anomalous, and we dismiss it because it wasn't the purpose of the film, but we give too much credit to where we have people walking out in the field with an iPhone, and they're capturing a Starlink satellite, and they're moving just enough that it looks like the Starlink satellite is now moving left, and it's moving right, when really all it is just the motion of the hand without anything to compare it to in the sky. But we've seen this frequently, and by some very important people. I'm not going to throw people under the bus, but there's people that have big podcasts, one of the biggest podcasts that's listened to every week, who was releasing pictures of irrigation systems. I mean, come on.
You know, that could come down to, was he actually trying to burn ufology to the ground, like he said many times? It's one of the things that's out there. We just have to wonder what was the actual reason for bringing that out, other than saying, "Oh, I didn't catch it first." Especially when you specialize in intelligence and counterintelligence. Just saying.
I also think a lot of these forward-facing groups that have maybe gotten a donation or gotten the public's eye, there's an element of pressure to deliver. You know, it's kind of like the 24-hour news broadcast that's searching for a story. They're eventually going to get a story. The same way, eventually they're going to find something anomalous. It's not hard to find anomalous stuff. The thing is, you've got to prove it out before you make it public. Otherwise, it's kind of wasting the time of everyone, because we're going to get to the truth eventually. We're going to figure out if it's Starlink. We're going to know if it's a drone. So
it's about finding the science first and not focusing on 100%. Clicks and views and getting 100%. Out the story before anybody else. That's
it. Look for those independent groups that aren't looking for money and they're in for the right reasons. And those are the guys to follow. Simple. Yeah.
Absolutely, my friend. I appreciate your insight. It's just an interesting story, and we'll keep on covering it, and hopefully we'll see where Skywatcher goes. Maybe there'll be something good coming out of it. Maybe there won't. There have been some things that have been leaked, and you look at the leaks, and you go back at it and say, well, that one there didn't look so good, but the other stuff they've got going on, you know, some of the stuff I remember, Tim, that we had seen before when Greg was around back in the day. And while we had Lou on, and there were some objects in the sky, and the way that they were acting or reacting in the sky as they're going across, it reminded us of seeing dolphins play in the surf, meaning that are the UAP going and if you want to call it, mimicking what they're seeing on the dolphins, or are they literally riding the air currents and having fun with it?
Absolutely. It's so hard to tell. And some of this stuff is out in space, as you brought up Dave Mason earlier, and he is somebody that I regularly run signs by. Yeah. And he himself has filmed stuff out in space that you and I know is not ours, and it's interesting. And it does seem to kind of be random. Yeah. It does kind of seem like random. You're right.
Yeah, well, maybe I wouldn't say it's random because, coming from a background in video game programming, nothing is truly random. The events that go on, you look for all the different stuff, you get to the point of whether it should show up or not. Based on all this stuff, you roll a dice, go ahead and see if it's going to show up. But there's a lot of non-random things that are put into seemingly random events, and it just seems like we're dealing with stuff. We may see it as random, but usually I don't think there's anything random. I mean, it's kind of like the same way in crime, Mike. It's not like there's a random occurrence of someone going and doing this. There's usually, it's premeditated, right?
Appears to us to be random. Yeah.
Yeah, premeditation.
There's motivation, opportunity. That's usually how crimes are committed.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at random. Yep, you're right.
Now, if we can get to the next topic, yes, he's back again. Avi Loeb is talking about that fast-moving object the size of Manhattan that is racing, quote-unquote. We'll get to that in a second. Through our solar system. NASA calls it a comet. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb says maybe not. Maybe it's a craft. It's 20 kilometers across, 100 times larger than the last two interstellar visitors. Its trajectory is too perfectly lined up with the plane of the planets, hitting Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in close passes. Odds of this happening are randomly 1 in 20,000. Now it's moving retrograde, which is opposite of the planets, which is ideal for releasing the probes. Without me talking too much, let's jump into the news story coming from John Hook's Newsmaker over on Fox 10, and let's see how his interview of Avi Loeb goes, because we've got some interesting science about this that not a lot of people have talked about, and you got to wonder why. So on that note, let's go ahead and jump into this clip, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go, folks.
Thanks for joining us on Newsmaker. A fast-moving object the size of Manhattan is hurtling towards our solar system, and it will make its closest pass to Earth on December 17th. Comet, asteroid, or something else? A Harvard astrophysicist believes there's a strong likelihood this is a craft of alien origin, and the implications, obviously, for humanity would be profound. Avi Loeb, professor at Harvard, joins me now. Great to see you. Thank you. And I've been reading with interest what you're putting out there. It's very provocative.
Well, science is fun as long as you allow yourself to learn something new. And the problem with experts is that they insist on past knowledge that they promoted in echo chambers. And obviously anything in the sky, they argue, is a comet. But we should be open-minded because, if we have a visitor from the cosmic street to our backyard, it may not be a rock. It could be a tennis ball thrown by a neighbor. So let's look at the data.
That is a very interesting analogy. All right, Dr. Loeb, it is called 3I/Atlas. Give me the best case for why you think this object may be extraterrestrial and maybe alien form.
Well, first, its brightness implies that if it represents reflection of sunlight from a solid object, it needs to be 20 kilometers in diameter. That's bigger than Manhattan Island. And this is a giant rock. The previous interstellar objects were hundreds of times smaller. So it just doesn't make sense that the third object from interstellar space will be 100 times bigger than the previous two. And we won't see anything in between. And moreover, there is not enough rocky material in interstellar space to deliver us a rock of this size, 20 kilometers, over a period of about a decade that we conducted the survey of the sky, because this material is very rare, and you expect it once per maybe 10,000 years or longer. And so it's surprising if indeed it's a rock of that size. And you might say, okay, well, maybe it has nothing to do with the reservoir of rocks in interstellar space on random trajectory. Maybe this object was targeting the inner solar system. It had a goal to visit the inner solar system, in which case it's that the rocky reservoir is irrelevant. And if you look at the trajectory of this object, indeed, it's perfectly aligned with the plane of the planets around the sun. And
it's
within 5 degrees. And the chance of that happening at random is 1 in 500. And that allows this object to come very close to the inner planets. For example, it will come close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. And if you take the path of this object and just change randomly the arrival time, you find that there is a chance in 1 in 20,000 of it coming so close to 3 planets, as if this trajectory was fine-tuned. It was designed so that it will come close to a lot of planets along the path, and it actually moves opposite to the direction of motion of the planets around the sun. It's on a retrograde orbit, and that would be ideal if this object wanted to maneuver or release mini probes that will visit the planets. Now, it will actually get closest to the sun on October 29th, 2025, and that's when the Earth would be on the opposite side. It's as if it tries to avoid us. We won't be able to observe it. But it also comes from a direction in the sky that is crowded with lots of stars. It was difficult to see it until July 1st, 2025. And so the fundamental question is, was this designed by intelligence out there? And my argument is that we should collect as much data as possible to figure it out. And
so we should find stuff to go ahead and figure it out. We've got Patrick with his hand up. Give me a second here. Let me get you in. Where is he at? Let's get into this. Patrick, your hand is up, my friend. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my biggest issue with that, if we turn back the hands of time to the last near-Earth orbit object, I can't pronounce it properly, Oumuamua. Do you remember
Oumuamua, yeah. Oumuamua, as we called it here, yes.
Oumuamua. And before that, Avi Loeb had another one that it was, I believe, the summer before. And every single time, this guy has the same line. We're talking like Greer-level spinnery here. It's coming in a way that it could release drones. It may be a mothership that could. Do you remember this terms? 2 years ago, the same guy saying the same thing about a different object. Now, let me put something in perspective. A 1 in 500 chance in space is nothing. We have NEOs by the thousands daily. And I don't mean little ones that he's talking about. He likes to downplay everything that's going on. The NEOs that we get within Earth's orbit, all they have to do is pass between the Earth and the Moon, and it becomes an NEO, or it has a possibility, or if it passes by Earth where it would have been in between that orbit. But realistically, there are so many pieces of space junk. For instance, right now is I believe, the Perseid meteor shower. And I stay up after the show is done. I stay up and I watch it right behind me. It's one of the most beautiful things ever. You will see streaks in the sky, fireballs ripping into the sky. But we know this every single year in late August, the Perseid meteor shower rips over us. We're actually, I think it's August 15th and on. We see a lot of it. But the same line from this guy every time. Oh, it's going to drop drones. Oh, it's going to drop little. No. Why? Where are you?
Well, the last time he talked about dropping drones, he said they'd be parachuting down to the surface. Let's be honest.
My point is it's the same narrative, and with no evidence other than just fear-mongering of get a camera pointed at me and let me continue to fear-monger people and push a narrative. And the problem is we're not the only ones listening to him. The unfortunate reality is you have a lot of people within our own intelligence world that listen to him, thinking that there's some relevance to what he's saying because at one point he was employed by another space agency that never sent anything into space. I don't know. I'm just going to put that one out there.
Yeah, interesting point. Before I get to this, I know Gene has his hand up, but one of the things I want to bring up that nobody is actually talking about here right now, Patrick, that if 3I Atlas is not a natural interstellar object, but ET tech, then why is it moving so slow in its sublimic transit flight in our solar system, meaning 3I Atlas is only moving about 4 times faster than the Voyager probe we launched in 1977. So if this is some wonderful, fantastic probe that's coming out from an alien civilization, they're not too advanced because they're about matching what we can do now with our nuclear-based fusion devices that we can put into orbit. Not in orbit, but into space.
It gets worse than that, Thomas. The speed that it's traveling at is the same speed that we track everything that comes from the Oort cloud. Why isn't he mentioning that? This is that we know that the trajectory that it's coming through at us is a marked speed that we've seen before when stuff gets there. There used to be a term, they called it the interstellar highway. This came out in 2019 when they first published it. How scientists have looked way out into the cosmos and they found that there is an alignment with certain planets that if you can catch the gravitational field of the first 3, you can pretty much launch yourself into space at about 17,000 miles an hour. After that, I believe that's one of the fastest speeds we've seen, and it was on our way back from the moon because we were relying directly on gravity for that. These are not crazy things. 1 in 500 chance is not crazy for this to meet those terms. To put it in perspective, currently there's 23,000 NEOs within the Earth's orbit of the moon, or the moon's orbit of the Earth. 23,000. So that means that out of 23,000, all of those are that 1 in 500 as far as the ability to come into our orbit. So I'm very furious with how this guy is placating the public. There's a lot of really cool information about this thing that's coming towards us, but none of it is new. None
right.
Of it
and if I could just go ahead on this point, he's actually taking the work by Beatrice Vitrol, who's been talking about these this network of satellites that's clearly not from humans. It was around the planet back in the day. And he doesn't want to look at any of it because it's not, dealing with current sensors or current technology. Yet you had the groundbreaking research that was going out in Ukraine that he shot down because he had Sean Kirkpatrick of Arrows saying that's wrong. You need to shut these people down. No, Gina, I know you've had your hand up for a while. I can see you're right in the you're biting at the bit on this one. What say you?
And I wasn't even going to bring up Dr. Villarreal. I was just going to start with the nuance in everything that I've seen with him that I think goes, gets lost. It's ultimately a plug for Galileo Project. Everything turns into that. You mentioned the Dr. Villarreal work. I had the opportunity yesterday to ask a question via chat with Avi on another show. Somebody gave me the heads up he was going to be on the host of that, and I asked specifically, just okay, you're affiliated with Harvard. You have the Menzel gap. What do you think of Dr. Villarreal's work? And his answer, again, from somebody who is a professor, who's a leader in this field, was somewhat surprising to me. So number one, I never read it. Number two, I don't get excited about historical things because things can be gone when we go to look for it. So I prefer this, and then it came right back around. So, I prefer the sensors. I prefer this. I prefer, he's going through all of his preference like we do with the Galileo Project. And he gives his plug for the Galileo Project, at the end there. But, again, and I'm no scientist, but if there's something to, number one, if there's something to look at, then why not take your sensors and go look at it? Number two, why not just read the research, that's out there and making headlines instead of foo-fooing it about the historic aspects of it? And the point he made was, he made some kind of point like she only used one set of plates. Yes, because your predecessor destroyed the other set of plates.
But it's not just one. I guess it's one set, but it goes over so many years that the plates were taken. It's not just one plate. It's plates over almost 100 years, right?
He was very, for somebody who's a scientist who's supposed to be a leader in the field, to say that he never read the work and then dismiss it in that way, to again convey that idea. Oh, she only used like one source. Can only say it's jealousy or it's intentional misdirection to get off that subject. But if you watch that video, he didn't seem too thrilled about the question.
No, we'll have to go ahead and see that. Can't wait to see what Tyler brings out. TVT, your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Mr. Loeb being the boy who cried wolf a couple of times with like his past track record. But I'm also going to play devil's advocate here. A little bit of some things that are going on that are weird about this object that I might have an explanation for, but they're saying the light that is being emitted from it and the direction of the corona is traveling towards the sun against the solar wind. Now, normally with a comet that would have, a
Right.
tendency to do that.
But this is in
And
an
I'm
interstellar objects, and how many interstellar objects today have we observed? A total of 3, including this one. So I know our scientists like to act like they know absolutely everything and can answer every question. Maybe there's different types of stellar objects that are out there that behave differently from what we're used to, and that's how we get something like this. It's just a different type of object. And just because it's a different type of object, we're going to say, oh my God, it's aliens coming to get us. Granted, there is a slight chance it could be, but based on the speed of this object, I mean, it's crawling. It's not going that fast.
I think personally that it's our solar system is made of matter, right? And for every positive, there's an equal and opposite negative out there. Well, they're talking about antimatter. What if this is from an antimatter type universe coming into our solar system, and the fact that it has a trajectory that's being drawn in and emitting light is because it's antimatter coming in contact with matter from our universe, and it's like a drop of water in a hot frying pan where it sits in its own kind of reservoir and does not boil away. It has a protection layer around it, like water being dropped in a pan. It's heating up, but it's also emitting light. So I've heard that theory from a scientist, and it kind of made sense. Like, yeah, you're saying it's from outside what we know. So, maybe it's something being drawn in.
I guess time will tell. We'll figure out what it is, or maybe what it isn't. It's not like we've got that much stuff going out there to take a look at it. But even if you go ahead and look at the reflective energy coming out of something like Jupiter, it's not adding up and looking great. Now, also with additional science on this to a degree, they actually have found that, let me get this image up here. I've got it up here now. Let me bring it up here solo on this one. They found that an orange gas cloud surrounding 3I Atlas is made of carbon dioxide rather than water or carbon monoxide. It's not an icy comet. There's no tail. Clearly, this is an object. They've taken pictures of it looking from, let me see if I can get to this article here from Medium, showing them going ahead and looking at it for carbon dioxide, I think carbon monoxide and water, and there's only one where it's actually truly showing up, and that's actually carbon dioxide. So they're trying to figure out what this could be of. It's a different object in a different configuration that we're used to. However, because it's different, I guess we can't. I guess this goes to the ancient aliens thing. Of course, it's aliens, but in this case, not likely. Which is something we'd all like. Mike, your thoughts on this one?
No, I agree so far with everything that was said. Something like this, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
You're right with the points that have been made.
Oh, God, yeah. All right, we got that one there. We got this one. All right. So, Mike, you watch the Y-Files, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, we've got an interesting clip here from the Y-Files hanging on another podcast. Is someone who has direct contact with let's get into this one, where he says,
"What's going on?
You're not a whistleblower. You're doing PR." AJ from the Y-Files blasts the DOD-approved UFO whistleblowers, saying, if you're cleared by the DOD, I don't believe you. And Mike, that is such a good point, because who believes the frickin' government, especially the military? They are the cover-up queens of disclosure, for that matter. So he's actually bringing out a really good relevant point here.
Yeah, he's not wrong, but he is, in essence, shitting all over everybody that has come forward and testified so far.
But we got to remember, the Y-Files is written by somebody else. He's just doing the show, following a script. It's not like he's had depth in all the different research that's going on, right?
That's correct. Plus, he's not a UAP guy.
Right. All right.
So we got to take that into account, too.
We got a little 43-second clip. Let's go ahead and play this one. Hopefully, we haven't pulled the curtain back too much for our friends. All right, let's go ahead and play this clip coming to us from the UAP Reporting Center over on X. Here we go.
But something's going on. I've seen videos. Most, I don't believe the I don't believe the whistleblowers. I don't believe anyone from Air Force intelligence. I don't believe any of that. And if you have a book out, I don't believe what you're saying. If you're cleared by the DOD,
I definitely don't.
I definitely don't. If you still have clearance and you're still a contractor and you're still working with DOD, I can't. You're not a whistleblower. You're doing PR. So, with all due respect, I don't believe you guys. Matthew Brown, I think his last name is Brown. He's kind of a compelling whistleblower because he doesn't go over the top. He says, I found.
Wait, you guys can't hear that in the back?
No, we can't hear it.
Oh, shit. Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong window. Sorry about the people in the back. Let me go ahead and replay this. Sorry, folks. I was in the wrong freaking window. Thank you for people in the back reminding me. Let me just replay this for audience again really quick so our friends in the back can go ahead and get into it. All right. One more time. Here we go.
Something's going on. Something's going on. I've seen videos. Most, I don't believe the whistleblowers. I don't believe anyone from Air Force intelligence. I don't believe any of that. And if you have a book out, I don't believe what you're saying. If you're cleared by the DOD,
I definitely don't.
I definitely don't. If you still have clearance and you're still a contractor and you're still working with DOD, I can't. You're not a whistleblower. You're doing PR. So, with all due respect, I don't believe you guys. Matthew Brown, I think his last name is Brown. He's kind of a compelling whistleblower because he doesn't go over the top. He just says, I found evidence of, something going on in space. And that's really all he says. But something's going on. I've seen.
So thoughts from our people in the back. Mike, you just heard this clip talking about whistleblowers saying he doesn't believe he doesn't believe them.
Right. So in my opinion, and again, let me point out, I've been following AJ's show since it came out in 2020 on YouTube and watched it grow. I like AJ.
Yeah, same here.
The way that I see it is every word he said would apply if you are part of the general public that doesn't necessarily follow it to the extent and work within it like you and I do. Yeah. So from an outside perspective, from someone off the street, I think exactly what we heard coming out of AJ is how the public feels about this.
Have they considered, though, taking the fish out of a fishbowl and putting it into a bong? It could make it a little bit more entertaining.
It's AJ that does the voice.
Of course, yeah.
Fish, right?
Yeah.
Because he was a voice actor before he started the show. So, yeah, that's what he does.
And he is a producer, but Mike, you explained the story that he actually has writers and other people to put the show and research, people who do the research who put the shows together for him, right?
Well, we had Darcy Weir on the show talking about that, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's good for him.
No. Yeah.
I'd love to have a media team like that.
Yeah, but what's interesting is his perspective and point of view, I think, reflects almost 100% of how the general public view this topic and the people that are in it.
Yeah. I mean, if you always look at it, what do you say? Do you trust the military? It's like military intelligence. It's the last thing you're going to want to go ahead and trust because they are there to lie to you and put you in a different direction and go off target, right, Rick? That's the whole concept of it.
Yep, you're right. Most of this is, most of it is disinformation. There are people out there, whistleblowers, who have identified themselves as whistleblowers that can be traced back to the intelligence. They're getting money from somebody, a cutout. So it's really difficult to choose who you want to believe or who you can believe when it comes to disclosure. Can I bring up one thing about the 3i?
Yeah, please go for it, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. There was an email that was sent out back on the 13th, about a week ago, a little over a week ago, about 12 days ago. According to this email, and it comes from somebody that used to work for NASA.
Mm-hmm.
It says it, and I'll read it. It's right here. I'll read it. Says a classified deep space satellite collected signals from the object. The signal, which repeated, was 6 tones followed by 6 high frequency beeps followed by 6 tones. The signal repeats itself over and over again. And according to this email,
that this is it started. They started collecting the beats on July 28th, and that like 3 days after it was detected. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, interesting point, Rick. I mean, if you go ahead and look, we do have a system not more than about 4.5 light years away from where our planet is. Not saying this is where the object could be coming from, but it's definitely something that there is a chance there could be something out with it. And if it is, you know, I'm all for it. Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, I was going to bring up, you know, my thoughts on the Y-files, but I will just say Patrick's got his hand up. I know he wants to reply to Rick, so can I defer? I'll come back after Patrick.
Yeah, fine. Go ahead. Take it.
Okay, I just had to put this out there. Rick, you had said that it was a certain amount of sound tones and then repeated, and then I've heard this somewhere before. Do you remember the description in the movie? It matched it completely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You stole my joke, Patrick.
Yeah, we got you, Patrick. Absolutely. You know, if you look at things as we go through it, yeah, there's definite parallels to that overall story, which is a great story. And even Lou Elizondo talked about he didn't see that movie as a child, but as an adult when he saw it, he's like, yeah, these people were Spielberg was definitely cut into the truth on that. If we can, before we get to Laura, Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah. I was just going to make a comment before Rick spoke up about the Y-files. You know, we all know it's an entertainment show, so you know that's what AJ and his crew are doing. But I think it's really good for the subject that you know they're level-headed. They're not out to poo-poo the subject, and actually, you know, there's probably more members of the public who aren't interested in this subject who are actually watching this and they're learning some stuff about it. Because you know,
I mean, honestly, we take a lighthearted approach towards disclosure. We laugh at stuff along the way. We crack jokes. We have fun with it, you know, in a different spirit than what AJ does. We're kind of like the Greg Gutfeld, if you want to call it, of news on UFOs, meaning we laugh, we have good people in, we're serious about certain things. But when you're talking with a topic as serious as this, sometimes you need to laugh your way through it because it's so freaking deep.
Yeah, and I think, you know, from I love watching the Y-files. So it's we're kind of sort of kindred spirits, if you like. I think.
Yeah, I have to agree with you 1,000%, Andy. Thank you on that one. Laura, your hand is up. Laura, are you still here? You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is interesting what Rick mentioned. Wasn't going to really bring this up because we did remote view it a while back and did see a rock. However, we did not go to the source of where it came from. Okay. And I've had 2 other groups of remote viewers come up with something relating to transmission signal. Now they saw a rock. It sounds like a rock as well. So this object is rock-like. But here's what, and I'm going to call out on.
Wait a second. We just got an image of a high-resolution picture of 3i Atlas. I want to bring up here. Let's see if we can find this. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Well, I guess that's not it, but it's close enough. Go ahead, Laura.
No, this is Dick Algier from Future Forecasting.
Yeah.
And he said in a completely blind remote view with others as well, he said something guided at a great distance by some exotic form of transmission. Precision is amazing. And this is, mind you, the second time I've heard something similar to this. So basically, to make it real simple, it's like this is a rock, but it was thrown from some other beings at us. Not going to hit us, thank goodness. But he said it's almost like a tractor beam
Yeah, and it's interesting though, if you have the ecliptic plane of our solar system, right, with the sun in the center, this thing is heading us right on the ecliptic plane of our solar system. It's not like it's coming in from any other angle. So from that area, it also begs the question, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah. Just wanted to throw that in.
Thank you. I appreciate that, my dear lady.
You're welcome.
All right, now getting back into some other things besides 3i Atlas. Well, you know, he's back. He's got something more to say, and he's not going away anytime soon. We'll be talking about, yes, let's find us where this is at. Mike, this should be a good one for you, my friend. Let's get into it. Immaculate Constellation author Matthew Brown, quote, "The question was no longer whether UAP were real, but what they were, where they came from, and what they wanted." Mike, we've been saying this forever. Why the hell are they here, right? And what are they doing? Those are the two biggest questions. I don't care where they come from, but I think we want to know, why are they here and what are you doing here are the biggest questions that humanity needs to know. He goes on to say it was evident that the full picture was reserved for a small privileged caste. The rest of us are expected to remain ignorant. No, I think we all would like to know, why are they here? What are they doing here, Mike?
Exactly. But even with that point that he made, he doesn't seem to provide any answers to that, does he?
No, he doesn't. He talks about it. It's something that they get into, but the reality of it is he's there. He actually has a new article on Substack that gives your full accounting of his history, his life story that got up to the point, which we've heard before in his interview with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, but the meat and potatoes of it, I think we still understand it, but you know, it really comes down to, again, why are they here? What the hell are they doing here? More importantly, just what are they doing here? Let's forget why they're here. There may be a reason for what they're doing. We can get to that. Why are they here? What are they doing here? It's the biggest question we all have.
It is. And he poses the same question that we have, but he doesn't provide a shred of evidence or any answers about it. None.
Trust me, bro.
Yep. It's like he's promoting himself, which tells me if he's on Substack, which is not so really social media, that's a place that you put articles up.
Yeah.
So he's.
But that was the same thing the guy from the Y-Files was just saying. You know, you're here to promote yourself. It's a press conference.
It sounds like it to me, with his backstory being put out there again. And he covered it with Knapp and Corbell extensively.
Yeah.
With those, 3 parts of the interview that they put out there? He didn't need to repeat that again. So it sounds like he might be getting ready to write a book.
I mean, the interview that was separated over multiple weeks for clicks and views?
Yes, that was the one.
How long can we make this last?
Yeah. How much can we drag it out without giving any real meat on the bone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's typical of people in this community. And it looks like he's repeating that strategy.
It's a mess. It's something we're going to deal with for time and time again, unfortunately. Are they humans? Are they walking among us? They look like humans, but they're not. Well, are they humans with a different consciousness in them is more of the question. Forget about the physical. Think about beyond the physical, Mike.
No, I hear what you're saying. But right now, we don't really have evidence one way or the other from anybody to support any theory out there.
Yeah, but wait. We do have evidence, supposedly. We talked about this earlier. I didn't have the tweet up to talk about it. Let's get to it. So we got a tweet here saying, coming from Ruby, observed by Proxy 7, claims that Skywatcher has landed and possibly captured a craft/UFO. I know for a fact that people from NASA and the military have already been there with them, and they've had a landing. And remember that video we're talking about, those really crappy shot on an iPhone?
Right.
This is it. And who responds to this? Someone who's had a loud voice lately. Then one of the founders or funders behind Skywatcher, Gary Nolan, saying that would be news to me.
Right.
In other words, it's bullshit. So what did people say back to Gary Nolan and didn't reply to? Didn't Cole Hart say, oh my God, they summoned a craft thing to a resort and it was creeping on people, skinny dipping the men in at the resort on national TV in SoCal before you were involved, Gary? Oh, you're talking about an event at South Monterey. I was not there for the event. I've been involved with Skywatcher since the beginning. Just not able to make all the events. Seeing Ross see skinny dipping, now that's ontological shock.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you gotta love it. He's got a sense of humor. Laughing my ass off. Glowing orbs indeed. Jay Kess says to Gary Nolan, is there any chance there's some truth to this? Yes. Reading comprehension? He's got a good sense of humor on him. Good for him. Next person says, only way anyone will believe past the bullshit. Show me the exotic materials and let me touch it. I don't even want to see the video now. The community has a lot of jokers. Oh, yeah, and then some schmucks too, right, Mike?
That's right, Thomas.
Yes, planting honeypots no one else will be able to believe, even if true. What does Gary come back and say? Now you understand why I am carefully saying anything before I am ready to publish. Check, double check, triple check, assume you are wrong, and check again. Okay. A little more back and forth, Gary. Even if true, the weaponizing of conscious capabilities to attract, deceive, and capture NHI craft and possibly harm or kill NHI occupants is dangerous and can have serious negative consequences for all humanity. You know what I have to say to that statement, Mike? Look at all the things that human does to dolphins, to whales, to every other life form on this planet, primate or not, intelligent sentient beings like octopuses or not, you name it. Look at what we do to humans down in Mexico where the drug cartels are eating. You know, that's the only first time I've actually seen someone decapitated and the head goes rolling and the head is still looking around and looking in terror afterwards. You know that conscious being is still dealing with that. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff humans do. So you know what? If the non-human intelligence comes here and does similar stuff like humans do to themselves, who's to blame? Except us, because they're treating us just like we treat everything else. Now, granted, the Christians say God gave us this planet to do whatever we want to it. I don't think so. Just saying.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
Yeah.
And we do it because we believe it's their lower life forms.
Right.
So why wouldn't an NHI use or deal with us the same way? Because we're lower life form compared to them.
And we can torture and dismember and do all the different kinds of stuff to it. You know, I actually saw a poor truck driving down the road today with all the little holes cut in the sides and the back, and you could see where it was, filled with cows going to slaughter. How do you think they feel? They're, you know, they know what's going on. They know where they're going.
Right.
Yeah.
They could pick right up on it. I mean, they're living, breathing creatures with feelings, emotions, and they're not stupid.
No.
So it's unfortunate, but
you know, I've seen a lot of people equate cows to giant dogs, and if you see cows that give them the opportunity to behave like a dog, they do.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that as well.
Yeah,
you're right. People use them for pets.
Yeah, give them the opportunity to show the true intelligence and consciousness that every being. You know, they're even finding that even bees do things for entertainment. And do ants and other stuff. So how far does consciousness go? Could be everywhere. So let's get on to the next thing coming from questions that Gary Nolan is getting into. Honestly curious, do you have a need to know on everything the Skywatcher does or has done? Or have you been shown everything or told everything that they've been done? He said, well, that's a very philosophical question. And it's root, right? So we really know what we think we know is a question as old as time. Well, that's that's an intelligent way to talk around an answer, isn't it? And not give one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Smart guy.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
God, yeah, gotta have fun with this. Anything else? Okay, so those are all the last comments that Gary got into. It's just interesting news of what's going on there in X, and it's about trying to see, Mike, what's happening with Disclosure, because for the longest time, August we're in the drolls of not a lot of news, and it's been quiet, but stuff's still happening. Talking about stuff still happening. We've been covering about the sun and the events that have been going on in the sun. We've got a major sunspot group that's rotating into our, into the disk right now. And these are the ones that just kicked off that really huge X-size flare. That's the largest one we've seen for multiple solar cycles so far. Hello. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you're pointing towards us. Let's see if we get some eye candy, my friend. You never know where that's going to go.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. Got to keep our eyes to the sky for everything. I'm not even in my right feed right now. Son of a bitch. That's your saying, Mike. Sorry, I picked it up from you. All right. Let's go through that. We got that. We don't need to cover that one. I got that one twice. Okay. So I've got a little clip here from our media partner, Vinny, over at Disclosure Team, who interviewed Gary over the weekend. And Gary addresses the point we've all been talking about. Quote, I'm not sure we need that dog whistle at this point, and maybe there are ways to recreate it. In other words, we're fucked. I don't think we needed the programmer and that engine that he built. No, I think we can redo it on ourselves, right, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck.
Been there before, done that before. Always sign the agreements before the people bringing their technology along and get the rights to use it, even if they walk away.
Yeah,
Video game industry 101. Nothing against these guys, but really? You're going to let him bring his toys in and not get the rights to use them for your stuff, even if he leaves? That's the most important part. And if he doesn't, you put him at the top of the golden shower that he's going to get of all the money and say, you're going to get the most because you brought us the magic piece. So let's play this video clip coming to us from Disclosure Team. I think it'll be a good watch. Here we go, everybody.
Well, we've got a lot of data.
Hold on a second. Let me make it larger. Jesus.
We've got a lot of data from multiple alleged sightings. Both.
Mike, they are not sightings. They're alleged sightings.
Right.
That's really being careful. Let's listen more.
Radar and other kinds of data. And so first it was about getting the raw data files all put in one place, because some of the data was collected by James before there was officially kind of a Skywatcher. And so getting that data, getting the instrument names that he used for those, then getting the technical manuals of what the settings might be and how much of that information is collected in the metadata when you're collecting the thing. All of this is just the organization that you need to do before you do anything else.
And not just documenting, Mike, how the technology works and how to set it up, but to have the source code and the engineering diagrams fully documented and put in a safe repository in case your lead person leaves.
Right. They didn't do any of that.
So, strong on science, not potentially on IP is what it sounds like. And that's what this whole thing's about, potentially. It's not about the people with the psionics. It's about this magical device, isn't it?
It is.
Because they wouldn't stop any of their field operations if they still had their psionics guys, the gay guys who are left-handed. Let's just say that. No, they've got an army of those guys, but they lost the technology and they shut it all down. In other words, the technology was where it's at.
Getting
they should have known that
from the companies how it is that they parse their raw data, because some of these data files are put into, I wouldn't call them encrypted, but they're stacked into a certain kind of file structure, and I've seen the file structure.
It's a binary compressed file structure that you need to create. Otherwise, the file size would become unimaginable, and it would be difficult to go ahead and break it into pieces. These are probably chunked in size, put together. You know, I've made video games. What I'm hearing here, God, this sounds like I know what I'm listening to, but that's what you would do. So yes, it would be large, and it's not a human readable format. It's binary to compress the shit down so it all fits. So you can get hundreds of hours of observations in a teeny whiny storage space.
Structure, which is, you can think of it as a giant spreadsheet with headings and numbers for each of the columns and time on the row.
He's describing a comma-separated value data set. Again, too big. Got to think smaller, chunks, binary.
Axis. And so, you know, we started looking at some of the data and put it into, let's say, 3D tracking. And it's clear that there are some things about the data that we needed to go back to the vendor who makes the instrument and say, why is this and this and this happening, you know, every few dozen milliseconds? And so, you know, just getting an answer from these companies often when...
2 minutes and 3 seconds. I've got a better feed here. I'm going to open up here, and I'm at 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Let me get into that. Okay, here we go. Let me go ahead and bring this up. I think it's around the time. That's 2:04. I've got 2:03. Let me get this out of the way, get that out of the way. All right. Here we go, folks. Sorry about the delay on this, but I think you'll enjoy it. Here we go.
When you don't even own the instrument, and so they're like, well, why should we give you the information about how our data is constructed? How do we know that you're not a competitor? Right? I mean,
because you should have agreements signed with these people up front to make them know exactly who you are and how you're going to use the technology within the scope of your investigation. So it sounds like, Mike, they were getting the technology on a loaner from some of these companies. They're finding issues that are going on with it. And because of a lack of a proper agreement, a good if you want to call it, a mutual service agreement that you would put in place to go ahead and handle the agreement going between Skywatcher and these technology providers. And in addition to that, for each scope of work that you're doing, you have something called a statement of work, so it still falls it out. It sounds like they got stuff on a, hey, let me check this stuff out kind of thing. This could work for it. But then when they start getting into it, they're like, well, who the fuck are you asking these questions? You know what I mean, Mike?
Exactly. No, you're right.
I deal with this shit every day for what I do in my profession, but it just sounds like, honestly, classical, really smart people trying to go ahead and manage a technical relationship without the subject matter expert in there to fight for what Skywatcher is doing.
Right. It's a big shit show with them.
But maybe we can help them. You never know, but I just see it and I'm just hearing these things saying, why didn't you have someone who was part of this who knew how to handle those relationships?
So these are the kinds of things that we then contact somebody who has a behind the scenes access to this so that we can, again, it's all of these little steps. And I'm sure there's somebody who's going to tweet, well, why don't you just put all the raw data out on the internet? For exactly the same reason, you don't put the raw data from ancient DNA sequencing because people will make mistakes.
Bullshit. If you have the data, you release the data. And if people make mistakes, you point it out. To go ahead and say, we're not going to release it because someone could make a mistake from the data, Mike? Excuse me, Sphincter, say what? Is it they don't trust the open source approach?
Right. They want to keep it proprietary. They don't want open source so that people can have access to this. It's just a stupid way of
if they're looking at monetizing and getting as much money as they possibly can get back on it, the least amount of people who are going to see it gives them a greater opportunity for them to realize and monetize their investment.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
They're definitely trying to monetize this. I agree.
Completely.
About it. And so if I'm going to be involved, I'm not going to make any mistakes like that.
Right.
So I'm sorry if people want stuff early. I think, perhaps if I had been running the whole show, nobody would even know what Skywatcher is right now.
That's fair enough.
We'd just be collecting the data in a fully stealthed mode. It's there's good reasons why they wanted some publicity.
Because they wanted to get a TV show and it didn't happen, did it, Mike?
That's right. They wanted to be the next Skinwalker Ranch.
Bingo. And that's why they did all the videos and the teasers and the stuff. We saw Lou do something similar too in the past, and that didn't amount to anything. It's the same way they're trying to go ahead and turn this into this big media empire when it's really do the research, get the results, and then try and do it versus trying to fund it off of a hope and a dream.
But I don't always get my way.
No. I mean, I think they've done a great job of balancing that scientific data gathering and then the kind of more entertainment glossy videos on YouTube that they've released. I think that's fine. I think that's good. And like I said, I appreciate that we have to be patient. Would you say that the data is exciting?
There's some interesting stuff in there. Frankly, perhaps some of the better data that we have is just a couple of pictures from the ground of the helicopter with something about 200 feet in front of it, or it's a clear blue sky and there's an object right in front of the helicopter.
If we can, Patrick, your hand is up, my friend. Go ahead.
I gotta say, this just simply sickens me. I mean, for Christ's sake, we were given a trust to this guy. We stood behind this guy. And all this guy is another cashier at Walmart looking to sell us more shit.
Who, Gary here?
Yeah.
Gary is like, oh my God, he just sold his company of everything else. He's like the top. He's like the top immunologist researcher in the world at this point. So he's a smart guy. He's investing in this. He's involved in this. So,
but he's making the most the thing that will change all of humanity. He's making into a profit margin, Thomas. This guy isn't someone that owes an NDA to the CIA. This guy isn't someone that held a position in the DOD. You have to remember, I have a lot of respect for him for what he has done, but he's showing his true face right now. As you had said, they didn't get a TV show. It was never about the science. It was about his name. And this is disgraceful. I'm sorry. But I have lost all of my confidence in him, just like Ross Coulthard. What else are you going to sell us? Because that's how I feel. Put a tariff on this crap. I'm sorry, but
yeah, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but I do respect Gary for what he's trying to do, what he's getting involved in, and he said the right thing. If I was involved with this and this stuff was going on, I would have made everybody keep their mouths shut and run in stealth mode until we had something to actually work with. And that's how a lot of VCs and startups deal with. They run in stealth mode. But on the front of what Skywatcher was doing, it was all about the media, the impression and stuff getting out there. For whatever reason, maybe he thought they were going to magically get funding from Netflix or something.
Let me ask you, what do you think changed his mind to why he didn't stay quiet in the background, because he could still be a scientific researcher.
He's only part of it,
what do you think landed in his
but he's in an
bank account?
interview
Was it
getting
a
asked the
UFO?
questions, and he's actually trying to address it at least.
That's the thing is, he's addressing it, and he's at least being honest and showing who he is.
Yeah.
Because we saw some of the best high-produced Hollywood quality interviews with this guy, where they were using cameras that they don't even use for movies at this point.
I mean,
and
a lot of times he's on his camera in his house, and you can see right now his lighting sucks and his white pony sucks because he's all washed out.
Though, is you saw the Ross Coulthart interview with this guy, and now it's clear as day. Why should I trust him when he's only in it for the profit? If he has to make back an investment, he's not looking to change humanity. Once disclosure happens, there is no necessity of today's garbage.
But is he throwing the money into it to get return out on it? Is he throwing the money in because he personally wants to see something back, kind of like what we've seen from Robert Bigelow in the past?
I've never made $1, and I have given away information that you would never be able to find on the internet. And
that's why you went and harvested 3 MRIs and made your own particle accelerator in your garage.
Got in trouble for it too. But hey, you know what? I'm about the truth, Thomas, and this guy isn't. This guy's about the bottom line. That's what he's about. What lands in his bank account. That's what he's the unidentified financial object.
I've never heard it called that before, but we got to coin that one. Unidentified financial object. All right, here we go. Let's play this. We got about 4 minutes left. Let's see if we can get through this. Thank you, Patrick.
The people in the helicopter said at the time that they couldn't see anything, even though we could see it from the ground. But meanwhile, all of their instruments are going haywire.
Yeah.
So there was an effect. So why couldn't they see it? Maybe it was just out of view. Who knows? So it wasn't a lens flare, and it certainly wasn't a seagull, Mick.
Not in the desert, anyway. I mean,
I can't help myself.
Oh, I'm all for it. I'm sure Mick would too, hopefully. James Fowler, we know he's left and moved on working with a new company. All the best to him. But am I right in saying some of the technology being utilized by Skywatcher was proprietary to him specifically? Maybe the dog whistle even. Is that still going to be able to be used by Skywatcher? How's that going to look going forward?
This is the good question. Why did they bring him in and let him use the technology if he wasn't going to let the organization have it if he wasn't there? That's the most important part. It's like coming in and I'm a game developer, right? And Patrick, you've developed this wonderful 3D game engine, right? We're going to go ahead, launch a title, get it in development, get everything out there. And if I don't have an agreement to go ahead and protect that technology, and if you go ahead and decide to leave 1 week before we go live, you walk out and we are screwed because you've got the master source code and designs for that library that our game runs within. So why would you even allow that in an organization to have so much based on one technologist when everything is based on it? It's just, from a common sense investment standpoint, it's fucked up.
I'm just wondering how long until he's going to start charging us to go see the metamaterial, just like Greer is bringing people out to the desert. That's the way I feel about it at this point, man.
Yeah.
I've lost so much.
I mean, it was the same stuff that I saw with others in the past whose name rhymes with blue. You need to look at it like an organization and set it up in a way that can run by itself. You have to have delegation of authority in different areas to bring it forward, to make it work. And if you don't have that basic structure, disclosure in itself is going to fall apart because it's too distributed. Same thing we're seeing with here. We've got people who are bringing it's the same problem 100% that they had with UAPX. He had one guy who had all the tech that he had built, that he had brought along, and when Dave Mason packed up his shit and went home, they were screwed because their entire observation, everything they were doing, was based on this other guy's work. And it's the same situation again. And from a businessman's standpoint, if we look at disclosure as a project, as an investment going on, you have people who are managing these portfolios that are compromising the advancement of this to go forward because they don't understand business 101 and venture capital and everything. And they should, but Gene, you know where I'm coming from, right?
No, exactly. And before retiring, I was in several sort of tech ventures in the security space. And equally, I walked away from them the second I saw the writing on the wall. And I think what happens sometimes, with these guys is they're in there and they see things aren't going right. They can see the writing on the wall. And they just continue to hold on in the hopes that they can recover something that they put into it. But, in situations like this where it's, dependent, and I was in a very similar situation. There was one person on a particular project who was critical to it. The company we were consulting into wanted to hire that person directly. I was the only one who was against it. And I said, well, what's going to happen when it comes time for the client to write the check? This guy's not going to divvy it up amongst all of us. He's going to say, oh, no, that guy's my employee now. This is my proprietary. And I said, I'm done. And I walked away and everybody chased me. Oh, no. I said, I'm done because now it's never going to happen. And then I walked away, and within a year, that's exactly what happened. The big government agency wrote the check. They said, hey, where's our share? He said, what do you mean you're our share? I hired the guy directly from you. And when you talked earlier about NDAs and non-competes and all the rest of it.
But, all this kind of stuff you're talking about is stuff I've been dealing with in the video game industry going back to 1989 with the Atari Lynx. It's the same way. It's non-competes. It's non-disclosures. It's about technology. It's about going ahead, if you're coming into a deal, documenting the technology where it was at the start of that deal. So when the technology is shared, that there's something that both parties can go forward with. And it's just the basics of it are just ignored to a point. I just have to.
Yeah. And this technology got a bigger public boost than it probably, he got himself free advertising to go off and do whatever it is he's doing with it, probably at a much
They were
higher
making
pay
clips
rate.
like they were wanting to make a movie with it. Or a television show.
Yeah.
And all the stuff they've come out with has all been hidden from us. There was one leak that came out about a month ago. One video you looked at wasn't that great, but you looked at all the stuff that was the wealth of what someone from the inside snuck out was impressive. But let's watch the end of this. We got this little clip here. We still got about a couple minutes left. Here we go.
How's that going to look going forward?
I'm not sure that we need the dog whistle at this point. And maybe there are ways to recreate it. I'm not party to the discussions around that, so we'll see where that goes.
Okay, I got to point this out. His dialogue and how he's speaking, how he's looking, as he's talking about this, has completely changed from where he was 30 seconds ago.
Well, he's defeated.
Yeah. May not be necessary, different things, whatever it is again.
Yeah, holding on for hope.
Yeah. Screwed up.
James is not gone and forgotten. I could signal chat him right now.
Right.
And so he's there to help us. But, my take on things is, James has a life to live and a family to feed. And
clearly he wasn't making enough money with Skywatcher that he got pulled someplace else. That's what it usually comes down to.
His focus isn't entirely on UAP. He certainly has an interest in it. and maybe he has a company to build and an opportunity that actually we all see now in terms of detecting.
Oh, he's got a company to build without anyone else from the current organization to hold him back, is what it sounds like. I thought he was going to work for a defense contractor, but if he's going to work on his own and he has people giving him the money, it's a way for him to get the money without dealing with the existing baggage and go do what he really wanted to do that some people may have not let him do in the first place. They didn't give him the whole golden handcuffs, Gene.
No, exactly. I mean, and again, I can't fault them, right?
No,
I can't fault that listen, we all know what it takes.
Mike Renner for a second.
To pour your heart and soul into something, and you at least don't want to go into debt over it if you can.
It's never a good point, is it?
No, so I don't fault them, but in that same way, if that's what you're dependent upon for your project, then you need to make those accommodations for that person and make sure they have that long-term interest in it, and that's obviously what didn't happen.
Exactly. Let's play this last clip. I'll step away for a second, and here we go. Let's play the end of this clip.
And, if he wants to run a company like that, then running around with a bunch of UAPologists might not be to that benefit. And there might be a day when Skywatcher doesn't need to exist. The whole idea of Skywatcher is to show that something like this can be done. And it can be done in a serious way. I mean, I frankly hope that if the UAP Defense Act, UAPDA Disclosure Act, is passed, because then the information that can be allowed to be out can be let out, and the stuff that needs to be kept secret stays secret. I would never advocate for a data dump. And so, call it controlled disclosure, what have you. It needs to be done the proper way.
Oh, and, bullshit.
If any of the claims...
Yeah, disclosure has to happen in a proper way. They've had 75, 80 years to go ahead and bring us truth, and they haven't been able to give it to us yet. And now we have to put something in to go ahead and make it come slow, to make it done the right way. Clearly, you're too close to Carl Nell in the wrong way, and we need to move beyond that. Let's play the rest of this.
Are true. There are reasons why you want to be methodical about it.
Mike, interesting conversation coming from Gary Nolan, my friend.
Oh, hell yeah.
But it shows where he's at from an investment standpoint, and it shows how immature the organization was of Skywatcher to not even protect themselves to be able to move forward, to get screwed in the same way that happened to UAPX. If you have someone who's coming and contributing a major chunk of technology to a company and enabling it to do something, you have to have part of the agreement with that individual, even if you're bringing him in the first place, to make sure that the organization can continue with that technology up to the point and the advancements, inventions that were made at that point, and potentially based on the money that they're investing into this technology in this person, that they not only get the rights to the technology at that point in time, but to potential innovations that come after that point that they invest the cash into it. It's technology.
They invested in an idea. They invested in an idea, not in technology.
Right, and they should have been investing in the technology, because the technology was the platform that enabled it, like a game engine. You go ahead and build the next Halo, and you've got the game engine, but the person a week before you're going to launch or halfway through, he walks out, goes someplace else. You've got the binaries for the way the engine run, if you're lucky. And if not, it's disappeared off your server. And the guy said, well, see, I'm going to go make my own game now. I don't care about you anymore. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you're my friends, but really this stuff is mine. It's always been mine. But what about the innovations and the inventions and different things that were made based on his interaction with Skywatcher and what they learned for him to take his technology and bring it to that next level? That experience should have been accounted for and locked in.
That means a lot of money in lawyers.
Not really. One lawyer on each side at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to negotiate it, but if you're bringing someone in as a senior partner like he would be into a VC-backed organization, you have to have the hooks in play. You have to have the golden parachute, everything else, the golden handcuffs as they talk about it, to make the stuff work. And I get where they were going for, but I'm not sure who they're working with as VC, but they've got no clue on technology development and what they should have done to protect that organization and what they were trying to get in the first place. We keep on seeing the same pattern go again and again and again in Disclosure, and it's run like a mom and pop organization for people who don't have a clue, and they're not talking to they don't have the right advisors to help them see where it needs to go.
Do you think maybe they had some internal confusion or misinterpretation of whether they were a media company or an IP company?
They weren't media. They were the platform because they had the hardware, the platform that was required to call the stuff in. Media would have been, oh yeah, we're going to record all the stuff and everything, and the person who brings this little truck around with all the stuff on it can call the stuff in. That would be the media company, but you have to look at it as there would be no media if you don't have the technology that you can make.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's where the gap was in some of their thinking.
But these are all science guys and technology. Well, we don't know who's there, but
it's like opening a pizzeria, Gene, and hiring a manager for the pizzeria. But it's his pizza oven, not theirs. And when he leaves because he's not getting paid enough, he takes the oven with him.
The oven, the recipes, and everything, and says, "Good luck, Mike."
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't have a pizzeria anymore. It's done.
No, exactly.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. And and the staff is running around making videos and getting people in there, and they've forgotten that their job is to make pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're putting flyers out to everybody. We have a 2-for-1 special. Meanwhile, they have no more pizza.
Right.
Right.
So
I get it.
Good analogy. I come from the video game industry, and from seeing this stuff is stuff like I learned dealing with the schmucks who were running Atari back in the freaking late 80s. Even the Tramiels had a better clue than what's been going on lately. And if you look it up, Jack Tramiel, Sam Tramiel, Leonard Tramiel, oh my God. What a fucking mess. But at least they got it. And they got it good. And a lot of people, too.
But you would think...
Mike, you're getting hit by a solar storm right now.
Oh, really? Am I?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Patrick had his hand up, so I guess we can go to Patrick.
Yeah, I know. But no, I didn't create Leisure Suit Larry, my friends. I did create a game based on that kind of technology, but it was more about Raven, not Leisure Suit Larry on that note. Patrick, go ahead.
All technology aside, we trusted Gary Nolan. We bought into the story. I mean, the guy is a brilliant neurologist. And they could take away whatever technology they had, Thomas. But what angers me about this, and I don't mean this to insult you or Gene, because, I mean, I own a business as well. But this isn't about business. When you devote yourself to something that is literally going to change the face of humanity, we believe Dr. Gary Nolan for the claims that he made. He was the one that decided he would look at these mummified things that were found. He was the one that was looking at metamaterials. We didn't need him to get involved in the development of a technology to attract or trace these things. And that is why I'm so upset, because he sold himself The reason that he allowed it to go public, the reason he had a publicist, the reason Ross Coulthart did it, it wasn't about disclosure at all. As you said, it was about the IP of technology, and that's so disheartening to me, because once again, I sold my trust to somebody that had an incredible background, and he dismayed us simply over the dollar. I'm sorry, I can't get past that. I don't want you guys to sound like politicians. Are we forgetting that this is about disclosure? This isn't about detection devices. This is about imminent threats. This is about things that have influenced society. This is what has made humans from evolving from the lowest being to what we are today. And now we're worried about who has the IP on technology. What the hell has happened to us, guys? I'm sorry, but Gary is a trusted guy. And for him to back out, for him to quiet down to an NDA, that's not why they named a hall after him. That's not why the guy is an award-winning scientist. But now he's no different than another snake oil salesman. He's no different than someone that's looking for the dollar. And he exposed himself as no different than the Greer and who are the guys that do the third phase of Moon there. I'm sorry, but at this point now, it hurts how much I trusted him, and to hear that it came down to dollars, and to hear that he decided to do these interviews, obviously, because of investments and dollars, and to get his name and to get grants.
No, he's just someone who regularly does the interviews, getting out there. It's not about the grants or anything else. Trust me, that man has more than enough money that he would ever need to ever go ahead and spend for the rest of his life, for him and his husband. And I respect him for that. He's just here to talk about it and share the knowledge and understanding with a lot of people, because it's part of what he does. It's part of who he is, and I respect him for that, because there's a lot of people who are in the same position as Gary who keep their mouths shut and don't talk about this stuff.
So he said it himself that there's secrets that he wouldn't want to disclose. I'm sorry, but that's gatekeeping. I mean, if we're looking for disclosure, we're looking for the
yeah, but that's when he talked about the secrets that wouldn't want to disclose. If we're going to bring the information forward, it needs to come forward in a controlled disclosure matter. Remember, Gary Nolan is also in charge of the Sol Conference. He's the head of the Sol, and of which we've got Carl Nell, who is a part of Sol, and he put forward, he's the author behind the UAP Disclosure Act, and he is completely behind controlled disclosure 100%. Two reasons. One, he used to be part of the military. Two, he used to be part of the intelligence community. So you have to look about who he is, who is his past, and he understands this stuff and he knows it. But you know what? I don't want to have disclosure come under some kind of broken Kennedy disclosure pattern, because it was broken and still the truth hasn't come out, and it allows a president or any one of them to shut it down and not release anything at any time.
We deserve to know.
Yeah, of course.
We deserve to know the whole story, Thomas. Not that they're going to withhold certain things, because that's all they've been doing the entire time. And you know what we call that today? We call that religion. So let's stop withholding secrets and let's tell people the truth. Yeah. Let's stop hiding behind CEOs and bottom lines. I'm sorry, but this made me so upset with him. He was one of the few people that I actually reached out to, and he reached back, and I'm
not upset with him, other than it gives us an idea that he's not perfect. He doesn't know everything in every area, and you have someone who's a technologist, a biologist, an immunologist in different areas. Just because they're good in one area doesn't mean they're good in all areas. And if anything, it just defines him as being human. And yes, but the unfortunate part is we're seeing the same mistake cascading time and time again in this field under the guise of money. Now, we're hitting almost 8 o'clock here. We actually have it hit 8 o'clock, and I have to get up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we're hitting the end of the show. Jason, you've had your hand up for a bit. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, I just have one thing. If we go back to the beginning, this all starts from the beginning, and in 1954 with the Nuclear Energy Act, and it also has in there amendments in there as well that any nuclear material can be seized by the government using eminent domain.
But it's not just any nuclear material, anything that's connected to a nuclear material, meaning if they got a beam out of a spacecraft and that spacecraft went and had some kind of nuclear device on it, they can come right now and take anything away from anybody, right?
That's why nobody can get anything out there in the first place anyway. That's why I kept calling bullshit on Skywatcher from the beginning, because even if they called a flying saucer down, the government would come in and they would say, okay, eminent domain, this flying saucer is a weapon of mass destruction. It's now ours, and you can't show it. And that is why also that they have to show all their video and information. They have to funnel it through the government to make sure that they didn't tape a secret plane or a secret this or a secret that, because the government has to make sure that they didn't tape that, so they funnel it through. But that is also part of that as well. But if they can't get around that act of weapon of mass destruction and it's a UFO, nobody's going to show anything.
They shifted everything from project, if you want to call it, when they were going, paperclip, I believe it was called, when they were going ahead and developing the nuclear bomb. They shifted everything from that, from the nuclear devices we were creating back in the day, and shifted it across to the UFO program. And it's something that's been talked about a lot of times. You're talking about the Atomic Energy Act. I believe it's 1952, Mike. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah, 54.
Yeah.
It's the Atomic Energy Act for 1954, yeah. Jason
Okay, I'm off by 2 years again. Missed it by that much.
Yeah, but they did the same thing to Bob Lazar. They raided his house because of they wanted to find any, he thought he had nuclear material or weapons of mass destruction in his house. So if they don't get around that law, then it'll never happen to show anything.
Yeah. They're always going to find a reason to pull it back.
But that's all I had to say, man.
Well, thank you, Jason. Appreciate you stopping in today. First time you're here. You're opening up a great conversation. You're preaching to the choir, my friend.
Thank you.
Hang around for a bit. We'll talk after the show's over.
Sure.
Wow. Mike, who would have thought we had so much stuff to talk about today? We were talking about before the show, well, we'll go as long as we can, and if we run out of time, we'll leave early.
Right. Which is how it usually is. But it was a interesting conversation.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of our friends join us on the show tonight, which helped to the conversation. It was a good audience, good conversation, and we really covered a lot.
Yeah.
But not bad.
You know, not everybody hangs out for the full 2 hours, but if you did, and you're still watching the show, you haven't gone and subscribed yet, do us a favor, friends. Please subscribe to Disclosure tonight. And if you haven't given us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, we'll take one or the other. We've given you 2 hours. The last thing we could ask of you is to go ahead and tell us how you think. Why are we asking? Because if you give us a subscription, thumbs up or a thumbs down, YouTube goes ahead and shows that as an interaction, and it helps me help you and everybody else and take Disclosure tonight to a lot more people. Right, Mike?
Correct. That keeps us here and continuing to bring the show out to the public. And all it costs is a quick subscription and a like.
Mike, but wait a minute. There's one thing you haven't told us about. What about that double your money back guarantee?
Yes, the cost is free, and we even give you a double your money back guarantee, everybody. It's a win-win situation. Can't lose.
Oh, I know. I should have been playing that song during Mike, but yeah, thank you. You know, sometimes you have to do that hard ask at the end of the show. Hopefully the people who've been watching the show so far, they get the idea. They understand. Mike, as I want to go ahead and thank you and everyone in the back, Rick and Gene and everybody else. Appreciate you all coming out to tonight's show.
Yeah, it was a great show, and it was nice to have everybody join us, including Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Who came in.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Thanks,
He asked me this morning, what are we talking about today? And it's like, okay, I sent him all the different stories that we were going to talk about today. It worked out well. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate you coming in.
Thomas, tonight's show was another incredible one and very informative one. And I learned a lot about people that I used to look up to that now I'm going to have to shift the compass and start looking in another direction. But it was a great show. And guys, every night, I'm gonna try to come back as much as I can. If you don't want me to, tell me not to. I'm going to torture you.
Absolutely. And as we usually say, my friends, at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
Go back to Party City where you belong.
absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. Y'all come back now here. See you soon. Bye-bye.